Let me know if I'm audible. Just give me a thumbs up if I'm audible to you all. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. Today we will be giving you some key tips and guidance regarding the process of the clerkship, both in the Supreme Court and also in the Federal Constitutional Court. Today we have our distinguished speakers. I would also praise myself in that I'm part of the speaker. So I'll start with the ladies. We have Noor Zameen Ansari. She is currently working at the Federal Constitutional Court. She had previously worked in the Supreme Court as well, and she is working with Justice Ali Bakr Najfi Sahab, and she graduated from Sheikh Zulfikar Ali Bhutto University and Sindh. And also, she had a background in the banking law, corporate law, and she has a litigation experience in that background. The second speaker we have is Simra Suhail. She is genius, I would say, in the research part, and she is currently serving in the Supreme Court, and she is a judicial law clerk with Justice. What's the name, Simra?
Justice Shafi Siddiqui.
Justice Shafi Siddiqui. We always, take a moment before taking his name because he's a very, very genius justice, and whenever you in his court, he will let you know how to, roll your dice. So he's very good justice, and combination with Simra is very good because Simra is very good at research, because we see a lot of research coming out on the LinkedIn page, and we see there are multiple articles, multiple publications for Simra that she's doing on all over. And she graduated from University of London, and she was also working as a research associate in the Lum's Law School, and also as a tutor at the Algiers International Degree Program. And if you all joined with the platform of SIPA, so most of you already know me. My name is Mohammed Zain Alam. I'm also a judicial law clerk at the Supreme Court. I am serving Justice Naeem Akhtar Afghan, and I graduated from Punjab University. And currently, I have a little experience with the research, and we are trying our best to serve the job we had. So I'll start one by one with the speakers, so that will give you a key insight of their experience, what's their job is, and what they do at the Supreme Court, at the Federal Constitutional Court, being a judicial law clerk, and what best thing is about the clerkship. So I'll start with Noor. Just Noor, give us the insight when you started at being a judicial law clerk, and what's your job at the initial, how it evolves, and how you feel it currently when you're doing it. Thank you.
First of all, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you so much, Zain, for introducing me. So my experience, I'm that one odd law clerk here who has experience from Supreme Court, as well as I worked at the Supreme Court and the Federal Constitutional as well. I'll give my insights regarding the Federal Constitutional Court because that's where I'm currently serving. Like any judicial law clerk, our day is pretty ordinary, like for any other judicial law clerk, but your day after the court can look really different depending from one judge to another. So in the mornings, we normally go to the courts. We are part of every single hearing. We're expected to, make notes of the cases that are being argued, pointers, judicial questions that if we have any kind of questions, any kind of questions for research that we already have in our mind. And once all the cases are concluded, we're expected to speak to our judges. We meet our judges, we speak to them, we discuss the cases, orders that are to be passed or will be passed later in time, some discussion on reserve judgments as well. And based on that, we share our input critically. And thereafter, once the work commences, that again depends from chamber to chamber. We're expected to research, we're expected to sometimes author, to draft a judgment, or sometimes just to, add a little input to already pre-drafted judgment by Honorable Judge Saab. And that's pretty much like it. In addition, sometimes certain judges are also expect you to be a part of their administrative roles as well. There are certain judges in the Supreme Court, even at the FCC, that expects you to take a part or to take an active role in administrative roles. So that again depends from chamber to chamber. I never had those kind of roles to play, or to participate with. But again, now this is what an ordinary day for a judicial law clerk looks like.
Thank you so much, Noor, for the insight. I will move to Simra. Please let us know how's your experience and insight in your job.
So thank you very much, Zen, for the very detailed introduction. And I think Noor explained everything pretty well. The day for a judicial law clerk looks very different from an ordinary lawyer, I believe, because as all the law clerks know, I have the kind of, every law clerk has a very different relationship with his judge. So it depends on the kind of judge, on the judge that you are being allocated to after your law clerkship starts or commences. So for me, my ordinary day looks like in the morning, I have to report to my judge early in the morning. If there is something that is pending, I discuss with him before the court starts. अगर कोई judgment है, अगर कोई reserve matter है, कोई order है, something that is going to be, something that is very important, we have a discussion, a very brief discussion in the morning. And then I always go to the court because my judge Sahab wants me to be at the court every day. I take notes. I take notes every day almost, because there are days when there are some cases that are extremely significant, and after the court ends, then the real role starts, because my judge often assigns me research tasks, and those the research tasks very much depends on the kind of case that we are getting. हो सकता है कि हमें फैमिली का केस मिल रहा हो, रेंट मैटर मिल रहा हो, या एनी अदर कोई रेंट है, फैमिली है, सिविल है, टैक्सेशन है. So it depends on the kind of case that I'm being assigned to, and then I have to conduct a very thorough research. The kind of usually my judge assigns me a question, and he wants me to take out the case laws, the relevant provisions of the law, and then sometimes I'm expected to work on the draft judgments, or sometimes I'm just supposed to assist my judge by researching on a certain matter. So this is how my day usually looks like.
Thank you so much, Samra, for the insight. I'll share my experience. As I told you, I work with Justice Neem Akhtar Khan. My experience is on the both side, also in the Supreme Court and the normal judicial proceeding, and also internal proceeding of the Supreme Court, because Justice Neem Saab is also chairman of the committee. So there are some internal matters of the Supreme Court regarding the promotions, regarding anything. So there are some internal proceeding. I'm also part of that. So my experience start with on a very lighter note. Justice Neem is very kind person. He always offers a very kind gestures whenever I enter the room. So we always first start with the discussion. He just gave me the file. He said, read the file and let me know what's your judgment is. You are the judge of this file. Let me know what your judgment is. And after the judgment, we discussed both perspective. He put his points. I put my point. We discussed both how this case works, what will be the good aspect, what will be the bad aspect of this case, what can be the where the judgment can move on to, and if when we will start writing. So हम उसको डिस्कस करने के बाद when we come with the draft, we make a draft together. ठीक है, उसके बाद we read it together. फिर हम उसमें से मजीद changes करते हैं. We do a research. I do a research. I discuss that research. I do research in two ways. First is just to present the case laws and orally present the research. One is the documentary research. I prepare a document on a specific topic, right? And on a specific topic, I present that's what the law says, that's what the Pakistani law says, that's what the other law says, and what is the comparison of it, and how it will impact on this case where we are writing the judgment. ठीक है, उसके बाद उस जजमेंट को फिर हम फाइनली उसके अंदर वो रिसर्च इनकॉर्पोरेट करते हुए उस judgment का final version लेके आते हैं. Then we read it again and we read it like a layman, that what a layman understand from a judgment, and then we can reconstruct it and finalize that judgment. This is the one part. The other part, he encourages me to be part of the judicial proceedings. जो भी Supreme Court में proceedings होती हैं, he want me to be there. He said कि जो भी proceedings होती हैं, you always learn from it. Not being a researcher, not being a law clerk, but as a lawyer, you will learn a lot, because there are many lawyers coming in the Supreme Court, and you are listening to their arguments and seeing how they present their cases, because you already know the file, so you have an idea that what they're gonna say. If your thinking and their thinking is matching, you can say that you are on the right path. So he's always mentoring me, always guiding me on that, and that's how my day works. And he always allow me to work on at my pace. He didn't force me to do anything out of my pace. So it's very healthy relationship. And again, जैसे नूर और सिंधा ने कहा, it's always depend from judge to judge. and also depend on how you build your relation with the judge. And if the judge has other responsibility, like I said, my judge has another responsibility, you will also have different experience. You also have administrative experience or judicial experience or litigation experience in that. So that's how your whole journey will work in the Supreme Court or also in the Federal Constitutional Court. So moving on, I believe we share the duties and the details of our work. So we will start with the application procedures, and also along with the application procedure, how a person who is applying for the clerkship will improve his application, what will the important aspect of the application, what the committee will look into, and how they can improve their application, what are the key tips for them. So I'll start with Noor. So she will be explaining the clerkship program for the Federal Constitutional Court, and let's see how it goes.
All right, so to begin with the application process for the Federal Constitutional Court, first of all, I would like to say that attention to detail is very important for any of the clerkship program, be it Supreme Court or Federal Constitutional Court. You have to pay attention to the eligibility criteria, to the questions that are given, read them properly, carefully. Regarding the FCC clerkship program, आपके पास पोर्टल बना हुआ है. अगर आप FCC के वेबसाइट पे जाएंगे, वहाँ पे करियर्स के पोर्टल को जब क्लिक करेंगे या ऑप्शन को क्लिक करेंगे तो वहाँ पे लॉ क्लर्कशिप लिखा हुआ आएगा. So first you go through it, आप देखें whether you're eligible or not, because it's slightly different as compared to the Supreme Court of Pakistan. They're not following the same criteria, so you need to see whether you fit in that criteria or not. And once you've determined the basic aspects of it, कि आप किसी जज के relative नहीं है, या फिर आपका जो है वो 2 साल का post qualification experience है, and आप 3 years के अंदर apply करें, so you oversee all of these details beforehand. उसके बाद you move to the next part, which is जो 8 steps उन्होंने दिए हैं कि आप अपनी CNIC details दें, phone number दें, it should be accurate, आपका पोर्टल क्लियरली सही तरीके से सही इंफॉर्मेशन के साथ बना हुआ. Once you're done with this, now we move to the last part, जिसके लिए I'm sure everybody is here, is the essay question, personal questions, आपकी application overall, and then your reference letters. I will start with the essay questions, which are very integral to this entire process. And I'll say that there are 5 questions. उसके ऊपर already instructions लिखे हैं clarity से कि उन किन चीजों को कोर्ट मद्देनजर रखेगा या फिर लॉ क्लर्कशिप कमेटी जो है वो ओवरसी करेगी किन एस्पेक्ट्स को. So the first one is कि आपका जो application है, it should have, the essay question should be research oriented. जब आप research कर रहे हो तो आपको, because you're applying to the Federal Constitutional Court, one should understand that we're expecting constitutional expertise or your constitutional input, which would include aspects regarding judicial review. It may include aspects regarding fundamental rights, interrelation between provincial governments and the federal government. So you need to have clarity regarding current constitutional provisions and the historic aspect of our constitution as well, so that you are able to gauge and write the answer properly, because there are certain questions which would require you to have an understanding of constitutional history. Number one is that you rely on Pakistani constitution. Then secondly, that your research is not supposed to be just based on Pakistani research. You need to include or incorporate international aspect as well, what is happening in other comparative jurisdictions. There are questions which demand you explicitly that you have to cite comparative jurisdictions, and then there are certain questions which may not ask you directly, but you're expected to incorporate it. For example, jurisprudence from UK, US, India, wherever you feel like that it complements Pakistani, constitutional structure. Once you're done with that, you can also cite different law journals. You can take help from different research papers. There is no bar to the secondary tools as well. You can rely on them as much as you can, but you should also be clear that you have to answer the question and do not dissuade from answering the main question. So read the questions carefully, break down the question, understand what it's trying to ask. Then one question that I was repeatedly being questioned on my LinkedIn profile was that what is the right answer for this question? If I can assist on, what's the right answer? First of all, there is no right or wrong answer. The questions are specifically opinion based. They're asking you for your opinion, whether you answer an opinion in positive aspect or a negative one. If you have a restrictful answer, restrictful aspect, then you just need to supplement that answer in that way through your research, through your argument, through your whatever material you have gathered. And it should not sound like an AI generated answer. That's one thing that I really want to highlight here. is that do not use AI in order to answer your question, because maybe आप ऐसे questions personal statement application के process से पहुंच जाओ आगे, but when you move to the interview process you will be caught because you don't have your own independent foundation of your own answers. So that is one thing. And just like build your opinion, have your research. आपका जो opinion है वो should be so strong that you're able to convince, even though the person who's reading or the committee which is reviewing your application might not have the same opinion, but they believe that there is a certain rationality to it. So that is something that I believe that the Federal Constitutional Court demands, and it's just constitutional aspect. It's not asking you from a civil aspect or a criminal aspect. One thing that needs to be understood and distinguished at throughout the application process.
Thank you so much, Noor. Now I would request Samra to explain the process for the Supreme Court and also cover the academic aspect of the application.
So basically, I think Noor is very right, and I agree with Noor whatever she said. So the application process for Federal Constitutional Court and the Supreme Court of Pakistan are entirely different now. So you need to familiarize yourself with the application procedure of FCC and then the application procedure of the Supreme Court. Supreme Court का जो application process है, they have uploaded certain documents on the Supreme Court's website. I've received in the last few days, I've received a couple of messages on my LinkedIn कि किस तरह से apply करें, क्या करें, किस तरह से essays को draft किया जाए, personal statement को किस तरह से लिखा जाए, how are we supposed to answer the questions and what is the right answer, right? So सबसे पहले I think you have to be very careful. I was very careful when I was filling the form that is given to you, because आपकी जो फॉर्म पे आपका नेम, आपका CNIC नंबर, आपका जो बेसिक डिटेल्स होती हैं, जो नेसेसरी डिटेल्स होती हैं in order to contact you, your contact number, your email address, they should be accurate and you need to double check all the details. Then if you would have seen the Supreme Court's application procedure, you would have realized by now that this time the application process has changed. So in our time the application process was not very detailed. उसमें ये नहीं बताया गया था कि 50% वेटेज है इंटरव्यू की, 15% जो है आपके एकेडमिक रिकॉर्ड की वेटेज है, फिर 5% आपकी जो पब्लिक सर्विस या आपकी जो कम्युनिटी सर्विस है उसकी वेटेज है. सो यू हैव टू मेक श्योर दैट यू familiarize yourself with the criteria that is now provided to you, and when you are writing your answers in the application, जो application है पहले तो आपका एक compulsory question है जो आपको दिया हुआ है that quote an academic or a professional experience that changed, or a personal experience that changed how you think about law. So I think this is a very innovative addition to the Supreme Court's law application procedure, क्योंकि ये question was not included when I and Zain applied for the clerkship last year, for the reason कि इस दफ़ा they want to know how you think. They are looking for analysis, they are looking for evaluation, they are not looking for anything that you need to write answers that are very different. यहाँ पर मैं एक बात जिस पर एम्फेसाइज करना चाहूँगी वो ये है दैट यू हैव टू बी वेरी केयरफुल कि आप आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस AI चैट GPT को यूज़ ना करें व्हेन यू आर राइटिंग योर आंसर्स, राइट? सो इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट यू आर नॉट यूटिलाइजिंग आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस व्हेन यू आर राइटिंग योर आंसर्स. उसके बाद आपका जो आंसर है, जो आपकी एप्लीकेशन प्रोसीजर है, उसमें यू नीड टू मेक श्योर दैट योर आंसर इज़ फॉर 800 वर्ड्स. इफ़ योर आंसर इज़ exceeding 800 words, that would result in negative marking. आपका जो आंसर है it should be a very holistic, a very comprehensive one. एक detailed 800 words का आंसर होना चाहिए. I think when I was applying, I preferred doing paragraphing. You can prefer doing paragraphing because it makes your answers easier to read and navigate and what you are trying to convey in your answer. Then you need to understand that there is no right or wrong answer as long as you are justifying the point that you are making in the application, that you are making in your answer, and it is making sense to the reader. It should make sense. It is making sense to the reader, so it is enough. And then since the interview has 50% weightage, so आपके answers this time, they are extremely important for the reason that the judges, when they are conducting the interviews, वो आपका application, आपकी पूरी application उनके सामने पड़ी होती है, and they can ask you about anything that you've written. in your answer. So it is very important कि जो answers हैं वो आपने खुद draft किए हों. You are familiar with the kind of case laws that you are mentioning. You are familiar with the jurisdiction. अगर आपने इंडिया की बात की है किसी आंसर में, आपने इंडिया का कोई केस लॉ दिया है, तो it is very important that you are familiar with the facts, with the basic rationale of that case law. So I think this is I hope I did not miss on something.
I think we missed on the reference letters, both of us collectively, but I'll just speak on behalf of the FCC first, that आपका जो references हैं, you need to ensure that आपका जो reference लिख रहा है वो आपको 1 साल से जानते हो, one academic and one professional on behalf, जब आप FCC के लिए apply कर रहे हैं. Regarding Supreme Court, I think Simra can tell better. And aapke references should be authentic and original. Again, it should not be AI generated. When you're writing your reference, it should kind of be supplemental to your personal statement. When you're authoring your personal statement, it should, your reference letter, if written authentically by your referee, will automatically translate into it. So it should supplement. ये ना हो कि आप खुद लिख रहे हैं और दूसरे किसी और से साइन करवा रहे हैं, because your writing styles, we can understand the committees are very cognizant of these kind of activities and the tricks that people employ. So be careful in that regard. And secondly, that we have the right to even contact the referee. So जब भी आप किसी का reference दे रहे हैं, also refer to their number and emails properly, so that if there is any kind of question that the committee has, they can directly contact the referee in question. And please stick to the word limits. And जिस तरीके से आप अपने reference, and now this is pertaining to the essay question and the way you attempt it. When you attempt the essay question, you're supposed to refer, your references in the footnote. So आप किस तरीके का style prefer कर रहे हैं, referencing style, we also take that into an account. You have to be careful and cognizant कि एक consistent manner में referencing हो, copy pasting अगर आप कर रहे हैं तो किस तरीके से cite किया जाता है legal judgments में या legal fraternities में. You research a little bit on that, because again attention is in the detail, and आप इस तरह से अपनी application को again you make it stand out. You don't have to make it too flowery, but it should show that you have the understanding of how to write a judgment, because this is what your role also expects. So or how to draft it, because the judges would really need help in these small choti cheezein. So again, the committee does score you on these small aspects as well. So just be careful regarding that.
I think Noor is very right over here that the reference letters are extremely important. So when you are giving, when you are submitting your reference letter, at least what I did was that I got one academic reference letter and one professional reference letter. That adds up to the weightage of your entire profile. यहाँ पर एक फायदा ये होगा कि आप जो academic reference letter ले रहे हैं, it should be from someone that you've known for a year, and then someone from the legal fraternity. और वो जो academic reference letter है, it should be tailored to you. It should not be a general template. And then जो आपका professional reference letter होगा, that should be from someone that you have worked with. It could be your, it could be some lawyer, it could be someone you've researched for someone you have worked for a year. And then it is very important कि वो इंसान या the person who is writing the reference letter for you, that person has known you for a year, right? और यहाँ पर फिर reference letter भी AI generated, जैसे नूर ने कहा, AI generated ना हो, एक general template ना हो. It should reflect that the person you worked for, or the teacher who has known you for a year, knows you really well and is able to write a really good reference letter for you. फिर यहाँ पर एक मैंने अभी chat में query देखी कि references को Supreme Court की अगर किसी ने application जो application है वो पढ़ी होगी, तो उसमें उन्होंने लिखा हुआ है that the references should be given as footnotes. तो आपको वो footnotes की तरह में लिखने होंगे, and you need to make sure that you are following a consistent font. आपका text justified होना चाहिए, आपका text एक consistent spacing हो, एक consistent font हो, एक consistent font sizing हो, in order to present a really good picture in front of the committee when they are reviewing your application.
All right, thank you so much, Noor and Simra, for covering all those details. So I will cover the professional experience, the personal statement, and the interview part of the application process. First, जो small questions I'm seeing in the chat, there is a document in the Supreme Court website. ठीक है, जिसमें डिटेल में मेंशन किया हुआ है व्हाट आर द इंस्ट्रक्शंस, किस किस तरह से आपने अपने क्वेश्चन को अटेम्प्ट करना है, व्हाट विल बी द वर्ड लिमिट, व्हाट विल बी द रेफरेंसिंग स्टाइल, तो गो थ्रू दैट डॉक्यूमेंट और आपको सारी डिटेल्स वहाँ पे मिल जाएंगी. I'll start with the work experience. For FCC, I confirmed with the committee, the work experience will count from the date of your graduation. Like if you are just graduating this year, you won't be eligible for FCC. So FCC require a 2-year work experience. That is very important because you need to have a 2-year work experience in order to apply for FCC. Whether it could be a judicial, it could be in a legal profession. For Supreme Court, it's different. A Supreme Court doesn't require any work experience. For you, if you have work experience, that's good. If you don't have a work experience, that's also gonna be fine. It's not gonna be an issue at Supreme Court. Supreme Court requires you to apply after if you graduated, and even if you don't have a degree yet, so you can apply for the Supreme Court. If you have the results and you don't have a degree, so you can still apply for the Supreme Court election. Now, what professional experience would be better for you? It could be in any side and the legal regarding legal aspects. It could be academic, like I told you, Simra used to teach as LGS, and also Noor has a professional experience. She used to work at a firm, and my experience, I used to work in a US firm. So we all three of us have a different experience. I don't work in the Pakistani jurisdiction in the litigation, right? I work in a US law firm. Noor worked in the Pakistani litigation. Simra used to teach, and she has an academic experience. So all kind of experience can be counted, and that important thing is the work that you did in your professional experience that needs to resonate in your application, right? Whenever you see, I see many people sending their CVs and telling me what kind of experience we got. I see there are multiple experiences, many internships, many records. But if you're just graduating now, your experience should not be more than a one page, right? If you have multiple internships, just summarize those internships. Make sure you mention the important internships that you have and where you learned something from those internships. And whenever someone asks you question regarding your work there, so you need to tell them that how you work there और उसमें क्या क्या चीजें आपको improve की. Because I can tell you, when I was sitting in an interview, I had a lot of questions regarding my work experience, both at my US firm. I also had worked in Pakistan at the Chartered Institute of Arbitrator as a branch executive. So I also had multiple experience regarding arbitration and also how the CR work and what I did at CR. So that I had multiple questions I was asked when I was giving an interview. So that is very important. But make sure that experience, whatever you have, whether it academic, whether it in a legal practice, or whether it in a foreign company, so you need to make sure that it relate to legal field, and also it resonate with your CV and also with your work that you will be applying for that collection. The other aspect that is very important is the personal statement. For personal statement, I would say don't start with the generic sentences like my name is Zain, I graduated from Punjab University. That is very generic. Don't use this. I always remember my experience is very different while applying. I applied in 4 hours. I can tell you. I wrote my application in 4 hours, all my questions in 4 hours, because I wasn't sure if I need to apply it or not. So when I sat there and I'm sure that I need to apply it, that was the last day of the application, and I submitted at 11:30 or 11:33 at night. So I sat there when I started writing my personal statement. I just thought, what I look at law, like what is law for me, कि law मेरे लिए क्या है, why I choose law degree, और how when जो भी मैंने अपने experiences रखे हैं, जो भी मैंने अपने यूनिवर्सिटी के अंदर कोई मेरे experience हुए हैं, मेरा extra curricular था, मेरा कोई organizational work था, after university जो मैंने job की है, how that resonate my personality, और जो मेरा stance था law का, the first I made a quote, right? I write the quote in the first, and I stated that this is my stance, and this stance motivates me to become a lawyer, and that stance continues in my legal profession, also my legal practice, and then this stance is also suitable for me to be a part of the Supreme Court, right? So you make your stance, what your belief in the law, what you consider the law is. Simple is that why you love the law, or why you love your profession, right? You make your stance, start with the stance, how that motivates you to become a lawyer, and after becoming a lawyer, how you started practices, and what you think. Let's suppose I was saying that law is very beautiful thing and law is very impactful thing, but when I go to a legal profession, I thought it was a very different thing. तो आपने वो पूरी चीज बयान करनी है कि what was your stance from the initial, how is it motivated you throughout the law school, and how it turns out in your legal profession, and how that stance or that belief help you to become a part of the Supreme Court, right? And first paragraph and the last paragraph should be linked, right? The first paragraph introduces your stance, the last paragraph introduces your stance with the Supreme Court perspective. And I'm still remembering my last line. I said, I'm ready to serve. I'm ready to serve to the Supreme Court and build a work for the justice of this nation, right? Many people don't believe if there is justice happening or not, but we are still here to serve for the justice for this nation. So I told that what I believe, और फिर ultimately मैंने अपने सारे पैराग्राफ्स के अंदर उसको रेजोनेट अपने पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस के साथ किया, देन आई मेक अ स्टांस के लास्ट पे हम उसको सुप्रीम कोर्ट के साथ कैसे या एफसीसी के साथ कैसे वो अलाइन करता है इस तरह से, ठीक है जी। दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। और इसको अगेन वर्ड लिमिट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, उसको ख्याल रखें और मेक श्योर कि आप उसी पैराग्राफ, जैसे सिंधा ने कहा पैराग्राफ में, दैट इज़ वेरी ईजी और मतलब बहुत रीडेबिलिटी उसकी बढ़ाती है डॉक्यूमेंट की। और जो भी आपका डॉक्यूमेंट पढ़ता है तो आपका स्टांस दिखता है, एवरी पैराग्राफ हैज इट्स ओन स्टांस फॉर स्टार्टिंग लाइन, कंक्लूजन लाइन, तो वो आपका पूरा पूरा सिमेट्री के साथ वो चलता जाता है। दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। नाउ द अदर पार्ट इज दैट्स इंटरव्यू पार्ट। I think when we applied, there were, I believe, 8,000 applications, and only 40 to 43 people were shortlisted for the interview. And from the interview, only selected was, I believe, 18 people. 9 were in the original list, 9 were in the reserve list. So also, I'm not sure what's the vacancy number in the FCC, but Supreme Court vacancy number, I believe, is 18 for now. So I believe it's going to be the same list, 9 in the original list, 9 going to be in the reserve list, because there will be a many tenure concluding in throughout the year. So based on that, they will be there. Noor, do you want to say something?
Yes, so I just wanted to mention the number of vacancies in FCC. The total number of vacancies as of right now are 7 in total. For 7 judges, yes.
Okay, perfect. So that will show that how many people will be shortlisted for interview, because when we applied, 8,000 applications were there. They reviewed the application, they shortlisted 40 to 43 people for the interview, and after the interview they selected 18 people, right? And 9 were in the original list and 9 were in the reserve list. So when you sat in an interview, who will conduct the interview and what your stance will be? I know Samir smiling. We remember we were sitting in the same room in the interview, and we know that उस time tension क्या होती है उस room के अंदर, and how it impacted, because you are at that stage, it's just one step away.
Sorry to cut you off, Zen. Me and Zen had the interview on the same day, and I can tell you कि उस room में I think इतनी tension थी that I was not able to breathe, because the interview is being conducted by obviously the honorable judges of the Supreme Court. और इसीलिए मैं बार बार इस बात पे रेटिरेट कर रही थी पहले भी कि जब आप अपने आंसर्स को लिख रहे होंगे, मेक श्योर दैट you are familiar with each and everything that you are writing in your answers, because they can end up asking you about anything that you've written. आपकी सीट उनके सामने होगी, आपके आंसर्स उनके सामने होंगे, everything is going to be in front of them and they can ask you about anything. हो सकता है कि वो आपको आपकी एप्लीकेशन में से कुछ भी ना पूछें, और हो सकता है that all the questions end up being from the answers that you've written. तो इसलिए आपका उनके साथ फेमिलियर होना इज़ एक्सट्रीमली इम्पॉर्टेंट। फिर यहाँ पर एक क्वेश्चन मैंने चैट में भी आंसर किया है कि आपका जो रेफरी है दैट शुड नॉट बी रिलेटेड टू यू। सुप्रीम कोर्ट की एप्लीकेशन में बहुत एक्सप्लिसिटली ये बात मेंशन्ड है कि आप द रेफरी शुड नॉट बी रिलेटेड टू यू। एंड देन जो रेफरेंसिंग स्टाइल है, एटलीस्ट व्हेन आई वाज राइटिंग माय आंसर्स तो मैंने ऑस्कोला फॉलो किया था, तो दैट वुड बी प्रेफरेबल बिकॉज इट्स अ फॉर्मल referencing style. You can follow Oscola or any other referencing style, but the references should be in the footnotes. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing the experience. So we were at the interviews. So as Simra told you everyone कि कोई भी question कहीं से भी आ सकता है. So you need to be well prepared. And the first tension is because the Supreme Court judges will be interviewing you. So what is expected from you, you need to impress the judge, because I know most of us won't be appearing on in front of those judges in coming over 10 to 15 years, because it's Supreme Court judges, we don't have a license to appear in front of them. So but now you're sitting across the table with them, and now you have to impress them with their capabilities. So first thing I would just say, you just don't need to be the expert on law. That is very important. Many people ask that if I don't have much command, you don't expect you to have much command on the law because you have a very little experience. I mean, 1 year or 2 year experience. They not expect you to read the whole CPC. They don't expect you to remember the whole CRPC. They just expect you कि आपकी critical thinking क्या है. If you are willing to learn about it, if you're willing to catch what they are asking you, and if you're willing to catch their mindset और उसके ऊपर आप आगे काम कर सकते हो. That's very important. If you don't know the law much, that is fine, but you need to law somehow. ऐसा नहीं है कि आप बोले कि मुझे कुछ भी नहीं आता तो I can pass the interview. That's not gonna happen. You need to know the law, but you don't need to be an expert on it. And I also say don't overshow yourself, because if you overshow yourself, they are the judges. Trust me, they will tell you why they are sitting on the chair, because they will ask you those questions you don't have. You never even think about that. So trust me, always be humble, because while I was interviewing, I was being asked question regarding CPC. So I answered, I believe 5 questions. At the 6th question, I just said like I have an humble knowledge. I don't claim to be an expert on the CPC. So just there was a laugh at the interview room, and he said we are just friends. We are just talking about the law. So that's, I just wanted to say, don't over express yourself while doing an interview. Then again, when they ask you question regarding your research, you need to be very sure about it, because I was asked a question which research tool I use, what is my research strategy when I was using it. So you need to be very sure. I also mentioned ChatGPT there. There was a shock I saw the shock on their faces, but I tell them that how we use that AI tools to incorporate in the research. And also then ultimately currently Supreme Court is also working on the section to incorporate AI in the judicial system. So it's going to be fine. So this is now the part of the research tool. So you can use that as the research tool, but not completely for the whole work, right? And then every question they ask, just make sure to answer with confidence. Enter the room with a smile, with the confidence. Don't bring a water bottle in the room. That's very important. Water bottle, there had some people who brought the water bottle. They had some trauma regarding water bottles. Don't bring the water bottles. Only had a great smile on your face. Enter the room with the confidence. And also when you speak with the judges, make sure to make an eye contact with them and address their question, what they're asking. And again, if they ask you regarding your work experience, you need to be very aware कि आपने उस experience से क्या सीखा है and how you work there. आप उसको explain कैसे कर सकते हैं. And again, if they ask you regarding your application, if you wrote your own application, तो उसके अंदर भी आपको बहुत important है कि आप उसको justify कर सको कि the stance you took in the answering of question. Like there will be, I believe, the 6 question that you need to answer essay questions. और जो stance आपने उस essay के अंदर लिया है, that is very important. कि उस एस्से के अंदर जो स्टांस दिया हुआ है आप उसको जस्टिफाई भी कर सको जब उनके सामने बैठे हो. ठीक है, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. एंड ऑल्सो इफ दे आस्क यू रिगार्डिंग द टाइमिंग एंड रिगार्डिंग द वर्क, you need to be very flexible regarding it. They will ask you some questions, and if they will ask you in an angry tone somehow, some way, just to crack you. But don't worry, they're just very, very, very calm, and they are very, very easy to go. They don't they don't gonna insult you. They don't gonna want you to cry on the table. So they will ask you some questions, some difficult question, maybe in an angry tone, but you need to be very humble. You need to be very calm and answer it with the confidence. If you don't know the answer, just let them know that you don't have an answer, but you are capable enough to learn that. You're capable enough to cater it while you work at the Supreme Court. That's very important. So that's how you conclude that. And yes, the interview will be in person, and you also have an option to do it via online. You can go to the registry in Karachi, in Quetta, in Lahore, and in Peshawar. You can sit in the registry and you can give the interview online. But I would prefer and I will suggest to go in person. That is make it a whole lot more impact. So many people got selected from an online interview, but some people also got selected from the in-person. But when you sat across the table, the vibe is very different, I would say. And you also, even if you not got selected, you will be able to set your foot in the judicial block of the Supreme Court, and also now in the Federal Constitutional Court. So that the vibe is very different, and the experience will be very different. Even if you got selected or not, it will be with you till your life. So I would suggest come in person, and I believe Noor, Simran, and I will be there to welcome you all. when you guys will be selected for the interview, and we will come you and welcome you all there, inshallah. So I believe we covered all the application aspect. What will be the key tips for that? So I would suggest we can take questions from the audience, what their queries is, and then we can address one by one. You can open your mic and ask your questions one by one, right? Fahad, please.
Am I audible?
Yes.
First of all, thank you, Zain, Noor, and Simra for your time and insights. I am having just one query that I'm a recent law graduate and I am working from past 6 to 7 months in a law firm. And but the eligibility criteria mentioned you will be giving a letter of reference for at least you have worked within 1 year. So should I submit to academic letter of reference, or should I go ahead with an 8 month experience as well?
Regarding FCC, I would say that get one professional and one academic, because the instructions are pretty clear on it. Regarding that, whether your referee knows you for an 8-month period or a year's period, regarding that, I would highly suggest that if you can find a person who knows you for an entire year, it can be your teacher and it can be a teacher who's practicing. You can gauge and understand how the person is going to write for you, but at the same time you should stick to the instructions that are written in the instruction list for the FCC program.
And for the Supreme Court, I would say yes, academic letter is preferred, and also one for the professional letter. As I told you, I don't have experience in Pakistani litigation, so I had an experience because I, as you know, SEPA as an organization, I worked in a SEPA, so I took a reference letter from one of my the patron from the SEPA. So they know that how I work in Pakistan regarding the law and on organizational work. So they gave me the reference regarding my capability of working, doing different projects regarding law. So that can also be workable. And even if 8-month experience, I would say you can take that letter for the Supreme Court if that's fine, because it's just a few months away from a year. But professional letter is very important, I would suggest. Academic is good, but one professional is also that make your application more stronger, I would say. Or it's very for the assessment committee, it's very easy for them to assess how you work in your professional capacity. Okay, the next question is from on Mohammed.
किन क्वालिटीज पे काम किया जाए ड्यूरिंग लॉ डिग्री के जो फुल प्रूव हो फॉर क्लर्कशिप?
I think
more competitions में
you're asking, if you can clear your question a little bit, you're asking from a student's perspective or from a graduate's perspective?
Student perspective.
From a student's perspective, I can at least tell for myself that you should enter into your field and you should really understand how to legally research from Pakistani aspect and comparative aspect as well. You should understand how to read the judgments, and you should be able to critically analyze any legal judgment and identify any defects or any positive aspects of any judgment. And you should have an understanding of your own, whether you are able to agree, disagree, if you can add on further. It's just not about learning the principles, it's about understanding how those principles are built and what's the good and the bad in those principles. So I think that one aspect is really important. Secondly, how you draft is also something that's really important as a student, that you need to work. Later, when you apply for the clerkship program, it again helps you in that. And lastly, your communication skills and how you conduct yourself. That's something that I believe every student should work on, how you start as a student and how you end up as an undergrad. I think you should be a completely transformed person. So, how you communicate with people in both languages. I think there are a couple of questions regarding language as well, whether your interview will be in English or Urdu. It really depends. So you need to have command on your language. So for example, I can tell my experience that if you're working in a criminal court, you might have to do a lot with Urdu. Whereas if you're working in civil matters or in constitutional matters, you'll have to deal with more English related, petitions, etc. So again, how you communicate is also one very important aspect of skill of advocacy as well as for the clerkship program. I hope that answers your question.
We can take the next question from Amna.
currently since 1 year in civil law focus on practice. मेरा क्वेश्चन थोड़ा सा हटके है, वो इसलिए कि मैं ये पूछना चाहती हूँ कि हमारा रियल लाइफ में सुप्रीम कोर्ट या फेडरल स्टेट कोर्ट जजशिप्स हमें किस हद तक बेनिफिशियल है, मतलब अदर देन अ नेम्ड थिंग कि हमारी सीवी में एक चीज ऐड हो जाएगा, हमारे साथ बहुत बड़ा नाम अटैच हो जाएगा, हमने सुप्रीम कोर्ट के साथ 1 साल काम किया, लेकिन रियल वर्ल्ड में ये हमें किस हद तक फायदा दे रही है इन पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ बोथ एक्सपोजर एंड एक्सपीरियंस.
Simran, you want to answer?
So basically, Amna, I would suggest you कि जब Supreme Court, yes, it is something that looks very fancy on your CV, but apart from the fact that something is being added up to your CV, you get to learn from a Supreme Court judge one-on-one. आप रोज उनके साथ मिलते हो. He gives you a task, he gives you a research work, he guides you about it, at least when it comes to my judge. So my judge is very kind enough to tell me कि अच्छा today we have to do this, ये हमारा research task है, ये आज हम judgment है, इस पे काम करने जा रहे हैं. So Simra, you have to take out the law from अगर CPC है या CRPC है या कानून शहादत ordinance है या anything that is relevant to the work that I'm doing, तो वहाँ पर आप you get to learn a lot from the judge. The judge in a way trains you for the for the future. आपकी ये जो ट्रेनिंग है ये आपके लिए बहुत बेनिफिशियल होती है. Then when your clerkship ends, usually a lot of judges or a lot of law grads end up asking their judges for recommendation letter कि सर आप हमें एक reference letter दे दें. That reference letter can be utilized when applying for the master's program at USA or UK. अगर आप शिफलिंग के लिए अप्लाई कर रहे हो, फुलब्राइट के लिए कर रहे हो, एरास्मस के लिए कर रहे हो, किसी भी एप्लीकेशन के लिए आप मास्टर्स करना चाह रहे हो, फुली फंडेड मास्टर्स करना चाह रहे हो, विद स्कॉलरशिप करना चाह रहे हो, so the reference letter can be very helpful. Then the judge, and apart from all of these things, it is a very unique learning experience because you are being selected from the entire Pakistan and you are being placed at one of the highest courts in the country, and then you get to learn from the Supreme Court judge. आपकी analysis, आपका evaluation, सब कुछ gradually in a year बहुत polish होता है. So I believe it's a very good opportunity in this way.
Definitely, I just wanted to add one thing. It's one in a lifetime opportunity, I would say. It's just not a fancy thing on your CV. It's one because it's when you know above 28, you won't be eligible for these clerkships. So it's one in a lifetime opportunity. If you get this opportunity, I would recommend 100%. I can tell you, I'm not from my experience because I wasn't sure if I should join or not, because there are certain things regarding my career or regarding my life that I wanted to see if I want, even though I get the the offer letter, I was still thinking if I want to join or not. So I would, after joining that, I can definitely say it's a best experience you can have. And as I told you, you get a mentorship from a Supreme Court judge, and you can learn from their 40 to 50 years of experience in litigation. So it's a wholesome experience. So you should always go for it.
If only I can add a little bit more to this. This is not just about a professional experience. It will be life-changing for you with regards to your personal experience as well. It will really shape your personality, not from a litigator's aspect, but also from an institutional standpoint. Like if I can speak for myself, I applied for clerkship program in Supreme Court and I ended up in the Federal Constitutional Court. I did not just see Supreme Court, but I also saw a new institution being established overnight. So, this is an experience which teaches you a lot regarding how your society is operating, how your institutions are operating collectively, independently, and different kind of mindsets. You will also understand that as a from a litigator's point of view, it will also teach you that how every judge's background also influences their decisions as well in certain aspects. And I don't mean to prejudice any institutional credibility regarding the judgments, but this is one kind of an experience which not even a lawyer can get in 20 years. So you get to learn a lot. It's just not a thing that is to be regarded as a title and to be cited in the CV alone. It will shape your personality.
Yeah, thank you so much, Noor. I would just wanted to request, rejoin the meeting. I believe we sent the link in the group or also in the chat. Rejoin the meeting. We will be commencing